Hello, music lovers. Thanks for stopping by the channel and for checking out this video. I'm going to talk about concerts in 2020. You get any tickets to any shows? How's that going for you? I know I've got some shows that I was looking forward to this summer, this year, and some have been postponed, some of them canceled, some are still on the books. We'll see what happens with that. I'm also going to talk about, in addition to those shows, Live Nation and what they've got planned for bringing concerts back slowly but surely. We'll walk through that mess. But before we do, I'm going to give you some headline news, some stuff that's been happening recently, or as I like to call it, hairline news. That's right, David Coverdale. He's been accused of wearing a wig. I don't know how that feels, buddy. He basically told the reporter, look, I'm follically blessed. And not too long ago, he even gave himself a rug and tug on Twitter to show people that that's his real hair. And it's like, Dave, I feel your pain, man. I had to do the same thing. People think I wear a rug. Not too long ago, I had to give myself a rug and tug. But everything was cool upstairs. David Coverdale probably made a deal with God. God was like, look, man, I'll give you your hair till you're 70 years old, but I got to get your voice, all right? I got to have the vocals. So did you happen to see this video remake of Separate Ways by Journey from this family up in Washington, locked down on quarantine, nothing else to do? I guess they ran out of Netflix, decided to remake a Journey video. And I tell you, they did a beautiful job, frame by frame, stitched together by the finest cheese you could possibly find. The great thing about this is that, you know what, you don't have to worry about looking embarrassing because the original was just that, if you can remember. And also, did you hear Neil Sean? He saw this video. He was so impressed that he decided to hire the mother on drums and her daughter on bass to replace Ross Valerie and Steve Smith, who they recently cut from the band. That should work out really good. Oh yeah, The Cure. Have you heard their new song? Actually, it's not a new song. It's a remake. It's kind of inspired by this thing going on now. You know what I'm talking about? It's called It's Friday, I'm in Gloves. Yeah, you got to hear this one. And not sure if it's going to wind up on the new album. That is yet to be seen. But one thing can be said is that we definitely need a cure these days, don't we? Oh yeah, Eddie Van Halen and Fred Durst. You heard about this? According to this story that just came out, Eddie Van Halen went to go visit Fred Durst back in 2001, and they had a bit of a jam session, and there's some drugs started coming around. Eddie freaked out. He decided he wanted to leave, so he abruptly left the scene. Have to keep in mind, this is 2001. This is when Eddie had divorced Valerie Bertinelli, and he had already gone through Sammy Hagar and Gary Cherone on lead vocals for Van Halen. The band was kind of in a dark zone, and well, anyway, Eddie Van Halen shows up the next day, knocks on Fred Durst's door, puts a gun to his head. It's like, give me my shit back. He's talking about all his equipment that he had brought over. So it's like, Fred, you had a gun to your head. Well, now you know what I felt like when I had to listen to Limp Bizkit back in the 90s. All right, so one show I was going to go see this year was Eric Johnson. I was going to see him in March. That got canceled. I mean, I was really looking forward to seeing Eric. He's such a tremendous guitar player, and, he's got this great album from the 90s called Avia Musicom. Remember this one? This is a great album. One of those, every track is stacked. Can't recommend it enough. Check out Eric Johnson's Avia Musicom, but that will be missed. Hopefully that gets back on the schedule at some point. Also was going to go check out a couple of Genesis-related shows. Steve Hackett, the former guitar player for Genesis, he was in there when Peter Gabriel was in the band. He even made a couple of albums after that, and was going to go see him in North Carolina. I think it was in March, and that got postponed. Now it's in April of next year. Got to wait another fucking year for this show. And, he was supposed to do Selling England by the Pound, which is my favorite Genesis album. And he was going to play it straight through. But he promises on this next show that's going to come up in April, he's going to do not only that for the fans, but as a special bonus, he's going to play Seconds Out, which is the double live album from Genesis from the 70s. It was actually the last album that he performed on. And so that would be a great double bill. Definitely looking forward to that. Hope it happens. And the other Genesis show that I was going to see was The Musical Box. This is a Genesis tribute band, and they have Peter Gabriel's blessings. He, provided them with masks and stage stuff. This is authentic, genuine stage material that you see, and the band is fantastic. They cover all the Gabriel years, even go a little bit into the Phil Collins years when they were still proggy. No invisible touch in this show. This is classic Genesis. Have you ever seen these guys? Let me know. Drop it below. This has been postponed a couple of times now. Now it's in August. Up at the Birchmere in Virginia. We'll see, but definitely looking forward to that. Up next, we got Chicago, and this is a kind of a crapshoot. I really don't know what to expect with Chicago. My expectations are very, very low. There's only 3 original guys left, and I know you might be thinking, well, 3's not that bad. It's like, yeah, but the band's got 20 fucking people in it. Actually, it's not that much. They probably got about 10 other guys, not other guys, but 10 total. And, it's just like this band, they lost Peter Cetera, then they had Jason Scheff for decades, a couple of decades at least, and then he left. And when the replacement singer goes, that's when the real shit is going. But I really don't know who the hell is singing with these guys now. And, it's like, I like horns. Hey, I'm a horny guy. I like to see horns. I like bands that have that kind of arrangement going on. So, it could be a really cool show. That has gotten postponed till I don't know when. And I'm going to go over some of the new policies that have come up from Live Nation about the refund. So stay tuned for that. One of the next shows was the Doobie Brothers. This was going to be with Michael McDonald, and this was going to be in Bristow. It's actually still on. It's next month. Is that going to happen? I mean, I just can't see it happening. Live Nation has been talking about how they're not going to go back to anything normal until like 2021, and I'm going to go over some options that they're playing with. That'll be coming up later, but I was really looking forward to this show. It's kind of strange. It's still on, but I'm talking about it like it's been canceled because what's going to happen. I was also looking forward to seeing the Steve Miller Band. That was going to be a great summer show in Richmond, and that's been canceled. And so, who knows when that's going to come back on. And I've seen Steve before. I saw him in Nashville, and that was a really great show. Of course, he's got so many hits. And so it's just a hit-filled show, great summer night, but no. That's not going to happen. All right, and I really am looking forward to Steely Dan and Steve Winwood. Now, this is a show that actually is still on. It's set for July up at the Wolf Trap in Vienna, but, like I said, Live Nation not looking to do anything really close to normal anytime soon, so I can't really rely on this date. But boy, what a show this would be. I mean, I've seen these bands before, these artists, they put on great shows. Steely Dan, he's one of these bands that just have a really deep catalog of great songs. If you've heard the hits on the radio, if you like those, there's a bunch more that you'll love. And of course, Steve Winwood is goes back to the Spencer Davis group, and of course Traffic, and he's had a really great solo career, and the kind of band that he puts out there reminds me more of Traffic, just a lot of great rhythmic stuff. So let me know if you were going to go see Steely Dan and Steve Winwood, and hopefully that stays on the books. Also, I was looking forward to seeing Sammy Hagar and The Circle once again this summer. I saw them last year. What a great show. And they had Night Ranger opening up. This time it's that same bill except Whitesnake. Of course, they were supposed to be on the bill, but David Coverdale had to have some surgery. So maybe it was some hair plugs. I don't know. I don't know anything about the plugs, but no Whitesnake on this tour. It's still on for July up at Bristow, Virginia. We'll see if that happens. But that's a really cool show to go check out. And I did a whole video about my last concert experience. I'll throw a link up for that, along with some other Van Halen stuff. And then there's Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, this is the final show that I've got scheduled so far in September over at the Harvester in Rocky Mount. And actually, the last time I saw Blue Oyster Cult at the Harvester, I did a video about it. I'll throw a link up for that. But let's just say this is a show that I caught back in February, just a few months back up at the Birchmere. And this was such a great show. I know it's pretty sad to me that people think of Blue Oyster Cult maybe from that Saturday Night Live sketch, with the more cowbell. That was supposed to be them. I mean, that is not them at all. Whatever your preconceived notion is of Blue Oyster Cult, you got to throw it out the window. Go check these guys out. Fantastic, tight rock band here. I want to know what you guys are looking forward to this summer. If there's any shows that have been postponed or canceled for you, drop them down below. And in case you're wondering about the refund policy for Live Nation, they've come out with, because people have been feeling like they're getting fucked over, trying to get their refunds and they can't get them for some reason, or maybe these shows are just not being canceled, like this Doobie Brothers show that I got next month. It's like, come on, it's not going to happen, but they're holding on to the dough, and so you got to know how you can get your money back. Of course, if the show is canceled, they're going to give you your money back, but let's say that it's postponed, all right? So according to Live Nation's new refund policy, if the new dates aren't set within 60 days, then you'll get a refund. All right. And also for postponed gigs, tickets will automatically be transferred to the makeup date, although ticket holders will have a 30-day window after the new date is announced to opt for a refund. So with this refunding for rescheduled shows and everything, you get an opportunity to cancel, which is your opportunity to get your money back. And you got to think about a few things, before you decide to do this. I mean, is the concert experience going to be what you thought you were paying for? The answer is going to be probably no, because like I said, Live Nation is saying that concerts will not return to normal until they expect 2021. So anything that you've got tickets for this year, what's that experience going to be like if it's not going to be normal? What are we talking about here? And so, like for instance, they're talking about these crowdless broadcasts. I mean, doesn't that sound like fun? Which basically results to sitting at home in your living room, watching it on your television. Or watching it on your fucking phone, which is what some people may wind up doing too. Is that, I'm not saying that can't be cool in its own way, but is it worth the money that you paid? It's not what you bargained for. That's not the contract that you entered, We can't all be Motley Crue to know how to get out of a contract. It would be nice. But the fact is, these are things that you got to think about. And there's also going to be some of the hassles that you may have to go through to get into the show, and I'll talk about that too. And they're also talking about these drive-in concerts. Like, what the hell is that all about? I mean, is this literally like going to a drive-in? You know what I mean? Is it going to look like this? And if that's the case, like, is this the mosh pit? I mean, what the fuck is going on with this? Again, is this what you signed up for, to go to a concert sitting in your fucking car like it's 1948 drive-in? I mean, so I'm just saying, you may like this, but is it worth the money that you spent? Well, the first real test of all of this stuff we're talking about is going to be starting on Friday, maybe. Even the attempt to get live stuff up and going is in peril right now. We have this one live show that's supposed to be happening Friday, May the 15th, down in Arkansas. This is a guy by the name of Travis McCready. He is a country singer. He's doing an intimate solo show. It's just one show. And, this is a show that they're trying to implement a lot of safety stuff, to keep us away from the, that thing that's going on. And so, we're going to see how this goes. But the thing is that even as strict as it may sound, it's still not very appealing to the health authorities in the local area. They've got some issues with some of the things that are in place. And so I just wanted to run through some of these rules that you can look forward to if you're going to be going to this show by Travis McCready. First of all, the capacity is going to be reduced 80%. Yeah, this is not a very sustainable model, so hopefully this doesn't last too long. You can't have these types of venues running at 20% capacity for very long. I mean, some of our most precious venues are desperately in need of help. And I'll put a link below in the description for some information on how you can help some of these independent venues, because like I said, it's tough for them to not have these shows going on the way that they do at full capacity. So, if you do have a dime to spare, definitely send it their way. Also, the venue will be sanitized prior to each event via fog sprayers. Yes, that's right, folks. Don't worry about this thing going around. We got you covered. We're going to spray all this chemical in the air so you can breathe that in. And, of course, it'll be all over everything you fucking touch, too. Now, this one, really, I love this. Masks. Now, they're not requiring you to wear a mask, but you can certainly get one there at the venue. But you know what? I want to know if I can bring my own, because boy, do I have some doozies. I mean, could you imagine looking at this guy sitting in the front row, you're trying to do an acoustic concert and you're looking at this dick. Could you imagine that? Or how about this? I'd love to pull this one. I haven't worn this one in years. You know, people think I got fucking wigs. Now, how about this guy? Oh, yeah. I mean, man, I would love to see this guy looking back at me all night long, frozen in that position, doing an acoustic show. So, of course, in order to stay in line with the social distancing of 6 feet and everything, they've decided to come along with this idea that was sure to please the health authorities, these so-called pods, where they basically have you sitting next to one another in a row, which, of course, you know, that's not quite 6 feet. But the thing is that the rows are separated by a few feet. So it's like, this is what the health authorities have an issue with, and you can kind of understand why this one may not be such a good idea based on those rules. Then we also have the 10-person limit in all restrooms, and what I want to know is, you know, is there somebody like enforcing this there, or is this like an honor system? I mean, who is actually counting heads, or I guess feet, in bathroom stalls? Let me know what you think about that. Also, here's something that you may want to think about before you, you know, ask for a refund on your ticket is what about getting your temperature taken before going into a show? I mean, you know, you want to make sure you know which end are we talking about here, folks? It also begs the question, like, you know, what if you go to a show and you're with your friends and you know, have a fever or something and you can't get in? And so do you get a refund? Haven't heard anything about that. And plus you fucked up the whole night for your friends. You know, you got to wait outside. They got to go to the show and feel miserable during the show. It's like, you know, this is another thing that may pop up. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. Also, the beer is going to be in fucking cans. All beverages will be prepackaged or have lids. I mean, that's what you know is going to be coming. You know, you're going to be sitting at a concert that you're going to probably feel bad because your buddy's in the fucking parking lot drinking canned beer. Also, the employees there will be actively wiping down touch points throughout the venue and in the restrooms. It's like, yeah, if you thought it sucked working for the venue before, wait till you have to wipe every fucking inch down every 5 minutes. All right, so my final thoughts on all this, and I want to know what you guys think too. Drop it down below, but there's some questions that are kind of hanging out there. You know, like, you know, at these shows, they yell, they scream, they're spitting all over the place. You know, how is that? It seems like from where we are right now, going back to a full-blown show the way it used to be almost seems like a zombie movie. Like, you know, should it ever be allowed again? So there's that kind of question that's going around. You know, the more that the, you know, economy is kind of in peril, you know, in doubt, you know, how much of a priority is it going to be for people to go to shows? You know, maybe they want to go, but they just can't because they got to pay their rent, they got to pay this, they got to pay that. You know, how much of a factor is that going to be? Also, you know, some of the people that are really taking it hard are the stagehands and the people that are kind of behind the scenes in all these different sectors, you know, because unlike artists, you know, artists can go to the internet, they can make money kind of direct to consumer. These other guys have to rely on unemployment and maybe much lower wages than what they're used to. Some are just totally out of work. You know, that's a whole industry there that could potentially be really decimated. So something else to think about too. All right, so thanks so much for watching, and you know, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. That'll get it in front of more people. And, you know, what YouTube likes is interaction. So, you know, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments below. Would love to know what you think about this whole mess with tickets and concerts in 2020 and what's the new normal going to look like. Drop it down below and take care of yourselves, all right? And I'll see you soon.